let's talk about, it's been put up by the church to help address issues that concern all of us. And today we're talking about work-family balance. And that's the reason why Mrs. Annie Usia Nkulino is here. Annie, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Annie, you are an industrial organizational psychologist. Yes. I keep on saying that we are laypersons. So what does your work as an industrial organizational psychologist entail?
So, actually, industrial and organizational psychology is a branch of psychology that looks at human behaviors in the organization, the workplace, and tries to apply the psychological principles to what is happening. So you study people's attitude towards work, their performance, you're able to coach them what to do. In selection, for example, you help in selecting the right people to fit the right work and all that. So it's basically applying psychological principles to the workplace.
Oh.
Yes.
Last 2 weeks, Dr. Lily Pobi made us understand the difference between a psychiatrist and a psychologist.
Okay.
And we understood it so well.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want to bother you about telling us who a psychologist
Okay.
is. Yes, we don't understand so
Yes.
well. But today, as I said, we're looking at family-work balance.
Yes.
So, and you touch a bit on work.
Yes.
So on the family side, now, what kind of family are you looking at?
So when we talk about family, we know that right now, family, there are so many definitions. But generally, we'll be talking about people who are connected by blood ties, adoption, and all that. But you know that socially, we can also talk about people around us, that we relate to one way or the other. So depending on where exactly you're coming from, then you have a definition of family. But then these are people that are close to you, people that are around you. Yes, so that is how we would take family to be. But anything that makes you relate to the person, there's some sort of relationship. It may be blood, it may be adoption, it may be through the person being your neighbor. In our culture, for example, we tend to call people our family members, not because they are blood ties, but then the kind of relationship we have with them helps us to call these people family members. So they are all part of our family.
Okay, so assuming you went to work in the morning, now some people work from home.
Yeah.
So we'll be discussing all that. Assuming you went out from home to work elsewhere and you came back,
Yes.
you would come back if you were married with children
Yes.
and a husband, of course.
Yes.
And that would be your home, isn't it?
Yes, that's your home. They all form part of your family.
Okay.
So those are the blood ties. But then you know that in our culture, we also look at the extended families as well. So you are looking at your parents, your grandparents, your nieces, nephews. They're all part of your family.
Oh,
Yes.
so it's rather on the very broad side.
Yes, it's on the
So
very
when we talk
broad side.
about work and family, we are
Yes.
looking at it in this way.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's okay. And where is the link between the two?
Okay, so we know that work and family are two very important aspects of our lives. We need to work. When we talk about work, for example, there are so many definitions depending on who is talking about work. It could be somebody who goes to work just as leaving the home early in the morning, going to work, coming back at 5. But somebody is also in school. That is the person's work at that moment. Because anything that you put your mental ability or your physical ability to achieve a particular goal, result, is work. So if we say there's a link between work and family, anything you do at work, you want to achieve a particular goal. You want to get results. You want to get paid and all that. And all these things help you to achieve certain things in your family as well. So there's the link there is the kind of relationship that comes in between the work that you do and the family that you're trying to build. And we have what we call the spillover effect. So sometimes you have this issue at work. You bring it home. You are all worked out by the time you get home. There's that spillover. So you realize that whatever happens in the house, for example, because you had these issues at home, you brought it to the house. If you are not able to manage it, it also turns into something else. So there's always that link or that relationship, interaction between the work that you do and the family and the kind of relationships that you build. Yeah.
Okay. Annie, I really want to understand clearly. Now, would I be right in saying that you explained to us that work is anything that you do for a living?
Anything you do for a living.
Okay.
Anything you do. So that's why I gave an example of somebody who's in school. Whatever you're doing in school is to help you achieve a particular result. So that is your work at that moment. If you're a stay-at-home mom, for example, that is what you do. You are trying to achieve a particular result. You do that. Some people get even paid for staying at home. And that one is even another full-time discussion altogether, because some people see it that it's not work, but it's a full-time work that needs to be looked at by a lot of people. Even somebody who sells, in the market and things that they are not on salary, for example, things that's not really work. Somebody is an artisan, for example, and things that, let's say it's a casual work, so they don't really see it as work because they are not in tie and all that. It's all work. So it encalls everybody who has something to do for a living and pulls that physical ability to it. That's what we call work here.
Okay. Now, what is very important to us is the balance that we have between work and family.
Yeah.
After the pandemic lockdown and after, I work from home. So
Yeah.
I'm all the time at home. My wife also works from home.
Okay.
So it's not like we travel somewhere and come back, So right at home, and our children are not that little, so they're all grown up somehow. So in the home, let's talk about this way. We, the two of us who don't work from another place and come back home, we work from home. How would we achieve this work-family balance?
Okay, so you have a lot of people talking about work-family balance as if there's a cut and stone procedure of achieving this balance. There is nothing like that. Right now, there's a lot of issue about whether we should talk about work-family balance or we should talk about blending it or reconciling it. Even the UN now is talking about reconciliation, work-family reconciliation. But the issue is there a balance? That's the question. You can have a balance when you are able to weigh the various things that you do, both at work and the family, and then you see what are the lapses. So I always say to people that I cannot give you a specific routine of achieving that balance. But then what you need to do is to have that conscious effort, sit down, analyze the kind of work you do, the family that you have. What are those responsibilities you have towards the family? If you have kids who are small, for example, your responsibilities to them are different than somebody like you who have grown-ups, for example. So to achieve this balance, you need to understand that the kind of work I'm doing, these are the ups and downs. We always have a lot of stresses. For example, I think that so far, I think you've spoken about mental emotional well-being.
Well-being, yes.
You've talked about tech addiction and all that. All these things are key things that needs to be taken into consideration if you must have a balance. Because let's take, for example, if I am addicted to technology, for example, most of the time I'm fixed to my gadgets. What kind of relationship do I have with my family? There are lapses there. Until I sit down to analyze the kind of work I do, what my addictions are, and how it's affecting my family, it's difficult for me to have that balance. So every individual must take a responsibility on themselves to cautiously sit, do the analysis and say, these are the lapses I have in my work. These are the lapses I have in my family. What's the best way to bring this to a point where I'm comfortable with each of them? There are some people who are more work-oriented. Some people are more family-oriented, but they need to work. So you know that initially, women were not so much into the workspace. But as the years went by, they went into the workspace. So there's still that gap of understanding how to blend my family and my work, because we still have the traditional rules. The culture still exists. So you can't just neglect all these things and say that because I'm now working,
I won't do this.
So I won't do it. You need to be able to weigh it. You need to be able to spell out all the things that you have that are weighing you down. There are a lot of stresses. And these are the things that brings you a lot of emotional trauma and all that. So once you're able to weigh them, then you'll be able to spell them out and work on it gradually. You can't just, with a click of a button, just get the balance. And I'm sure as time goes on, we will talk about how these have their own, advantages and disadvantages.
And you talk about some of the traditional things. Like, were you thinking about cooking with a woman, for instance?
Yes.
Those are some of the things that you were talking about.
So tradition would expect that, the woman should cook. Although these days, we have men who are very good cooks and all that. But traditionally, it's expected that the woman should be in the kitchen, because all this while women were the homemakers. The men were expected to go and toil and feed their families. So we didn't pay particular attention to the woman going out there. But right now we have what we call the dual earner couples.
What is it?
The dual earner couple.
Okay.
So the dual earner couple, the man goes to work, the woman goes to work. So right now, both of them are working. So if we are not able to even sit down as a family to analyze some of the things and the responsibilities and how to go about it, we will realize that there's a spillover effect onto the family. For example, where the kids hardly even see their parents before they sleep. Then you should realize that there are some lapses somewhere. You are not able to balance. But with this work-family balance, for example, the broader version of it is the work life, which a lot of people talk about. Because they see it as, what if I don't have a husband, wife, and children, for example? The broader version is the life, because it includes all your leisure, activities, and all that. But the issue is that you have parents, if you don't have husband, wife, and you have extended families that you relate to. So they are all part of the kind of balance that you need to seek for. So those are some of the key things that I think we should take.
We'll talk about that more.
Yeah.
If you just tune in, this is Let's Talk About from Trinity United Church, a platform for discussing issues that bother all of us. Today we're talking about family-work balance. That's the reason why we have Mrs. Ani Owusia in Kulenu here with us. For those listening on Sunday 88.7 FM, once again, you are welcome. Yes, Owusia. Can I call you Owusia?
Yes, of course.
Owusia, you said we shouldn't just limit the family to, for instance, your husband and children. It could be your parents, as it were, who might be living with you or out of your home, which we all have to consider. Now, assuming you were living with your aged mother in the home, how could you relate, with this aged mother?
Okay.
So you could bring a certain kind of balance between the work you do and the home where you live.
Okay. So once you live with your aged parent, for example, they become the family that you need to weigh and balance, because there are so many things you need to do for them. Probably they may not be able to feed themselves. They may not be able to walk. You need to help them, aid them to walk and all that. Now you need to look at how best you can deal with this. Are you going to bring in an external help? Are you going to wake up very early to probably dress them, take care of them before you go to work? Is that bringing some sort of stress on you? which is weighing you down. That sometimes when you get to work, you feel so exhausted. So that in itself is work. Even dealing with the aged at home is even work within the family. So you need to be able to consider how best you can go about scheduling things such that you have that ability to go to work and not even have trouble at work as well. Because some people may give all sorts of excuses that I have aged and all that. But then you need to be able to blend it in such a way that you don't have issues when you go to work. So it's also work in itself. But that is also your family that you're also dealing with. Yeah.
I know people who carry over, and you mentioned it, they carry over the work that they have at the workplace, home. Some of them, they are even traveling in the morning to their working places. And you could see they are being driven.
Yes.
And at the back there, they have the files and they are still working on.
Yes.
With such a situation, could you say such a person is well balanced as far as the work that he or she does?
Well, we need to look at the person's schedules and what exactly the person is doing. For all that you know, the person sitting at the back of the car and doing his work did not take the work to the house. He left them in the car when he got to his garage or something. So probably that one, for example, would say the person did not do the work in the house, which will be some sort of spill over to the house, and then the person will not have attention for the family. But if the person took it to the house, and then right after working how many hours, he gets back to the house and then sits down again behind the laptop, and the children are coming in and it says, oh, please excuse me, I have work to do. Then you should know that there's some problem, there's a problem somewhere. It is not easy to just push away the work when you have all these deadlines. But I always say that sometimes when you get home, probably schedule it like that some few minutes of your time is for the family. Some people don't even eat together anymore.
Because the time is not
Yes, because there's no time. But the issue is that we need to make a conscious effort.
I like that operative word.
Yes. So
make the conscious
effort.
Make the time.
Yes, make the time. You need to understand that you are dealing with people. They may not be in your shoes. They are saying you, Daddy does not want to talk to me. Daddy does not want to look at our homeworks. It's not because Daddy doesn't want to. But has Daddy even thought of the fact that I'm having an effect on these children? I don't think so. And Daddy might think that I have all these deadlines, to meet. And I need to make sure that, I need to get this money, And right now there's so many things that are going on with, getting money and all that. Probably sometimes I always tell my people that you should read Proverbs 23, 4-5.
What is there?
It's like, why do you have to hustle so much for money? At a point in time, you need to be wise enough to quit. You see, it is not easy to just take that bold step, but you need to be able to make that conscious effort that now I'm tired. Let me have that rest. We are all guilty one way or the other when it comes to these things, but it takes a cautious effort to do it.
I'm tempted to give you a situation, my own situation, when my children were very small. And you answer that question after the break.
All right.
Now, we realized that we had a few issues with the children. We asked somebody to come and help us to look after the children. One day, we came back home from work, and our little boy, was nowhere to be found. Apparently, the lady had gone somewhere. And the time that he was supposed to have picked up our boy, he couldn't go.
Okay.
And so by 4 o'clock, we couldn't see the boy. We had to go to his school, look all around for him for about 1.5 hours before we were able to locate him. So my wife decided that then she would find a work around where we live.
Okay.
So we would always be in a situation where we can go and pick up our child and bring him home. After the break, I would ask you whether that was a appropriate, I won't say a good decision, an appropriate decision that we took, just to have a balance between the work that we do and our family. Yes, we'll take a short break. And before we take the break, I think that also you can answer this question.
Okay, so I think that at that moment you make the conscious effort, analyze the situation, and you decided perfectly as to what was good for you. And I'm sure that you had the results when you even made that change. It is not easy to change, especially if you are working in organizations where you have, you know, everything available to you. You can't just see yourself leaving this work.
And that's exactly what happened. The salary now was a bit small, you know.
Yes, so it takes a cautious effort. And sometimes you can decide that, okay, I would have to stop, and then probably the man or the woman, so the other person goes to work, so that I would have to do something else, which will help me to be able to attend to this child. Or both of you, if you have something that you could do together, could also be a very good decision that you could take. I know it is not easy. There's this whole imbalance when you have to, you know, leave your work and all that. But then it takes all the effort and communication when it comes to getting a work-family balance. Yeah.
And what I also did was this, that I decided that at a point in time when my little boy closed from school, I would be there to pick him up myself.
Okay. That was a very, very good decision.
And it was a very hard decision that we had to take. Yeah, because we didn't know what else could have happened. This time that the girl who was helping us decided not to go for this little boy. I don't have time. Something could have happened. Was this an appropriate decision that the two of us took?
It was a very, very appropriate decision. And I'm sure that you have the results now.
Oh, so much. We are so bonded well together that we just love it.
The bond, the kind of relationship that you want, for example, is very, very important. You know, these are things that we are neglecting in our families. We need that bond with the kids. We need to teach them the values that we want them to build with. And if we don't have time for them, somebody else will have time for them. You see, so we need to make, I keep saying, cautious effort. I remember my dad would always say that for you to be able to balance work and family, it takes dedication, determination, commitment, and all that to get all these things done. And it's true, because nobody else will come and balance it for you. You need to steady your system. Even when you're working or you're in school, for example, and you're studying, you need to know where to balance the things that you do at school. So anytime we talk about work-family balance, people think it's only about my parents and the children. But you need to think through holistically, what are some of the things that go on in my life, and how best would I be able to balance them?
Also, I will continue from that point.
Thank you.
Now we'll take a short break. Theodore Obing is here to give us an interlude. So Theodore, over to you. You're still listening and watching. Let's talk about a platform for discussion of issues that concern all of us from Trinity United Church, Legon. Theodore. so much, Theodore, for that beautiful music. Now, welcome back to Let's Talk About, a program designed by Trinity United Church to help us discuss issues that bother all of us. And today we're talking about work-family balance. And that's the reason why Mrs. Annie Osua Ikolenu is here with us. Osia, can there ever be a balance?
It's a yes and no. Yes, in the sense that once you make the conscious effort to analyze your whole life, analyze the responsibilities that you have, both work, church, all your activities that bothers around you as an individual, and you look at your family as well, and you are able to blend these two, you are able to weigh and make sure that you don't have stresses from these places clashing, or you don't have work overload from one place spilling into the other. And you're able to get relaxed. Let's say, for example, when you go to work, you're able to focus and all that. You have that balance. No, in the sense that it's a very dicey phenomenon when people have to blend these things. It takes a lot of effort to even detect some of the things and accept that these things are the things that are causing me not to balance. So that's why it's a yes and a no. It takes an individual effort for you to get this done. It takes, the individual has a part to play. The family, one way or the other, has a part to play to understand even where you're coming from. And even your organization has a part to play.
Now, so to achieve this understanding, does it mean that you have to talk about these issues with the organization that you will work with? Your family people, discuss the issues so they can achieve this kind of understanding?
Yes, so one key thing is communication. Communication is very important at the workplace. Communication is very important with the family. Even for you, the individual, you need to communicate with yourself.
How do you do that?
It's with yourself, it takes a lot of reflection. Sitting down to analyze the kind of things that you do, the kind of things that you wish to do. What are your aims? What are your objectives? Does it go with what the family is also looking at? Does the family understand what is going on? You need to communicate with them. They need to understand what is going on in your life. There are people who don't they don't really communicate with people around them. We understand, but for you to be able to balance and let everybody understand what is going on, it takes that effort for you to communicate. Some people culturally, for example, men, for example, may have issues of not complaining about things that are worrying them, for example. It may be a stressor in your life. It's something that you can't really talk to. You need to analyze, reflect by yourself and see, what is it that is causing this? Who can I talk to? Maybe I can't talk to my wife, and my wife cannot talk to, the wife cannot talk to the husband, or cannot talk to the children. You know, there are times when you need to also talk to the children to understand what you're going through. It makes it easier for you to balance. Because when you come in late, for example, the children understand what you went to do. Then you just try and create some sort of time for them. 10, 15 minutes of your time with these kids sticks in their minds. And they still understand that you are there for them. That is communication. That is you trying to balance the family aspect of it. Now, when it comes to the workplace, for example, we need family-friendly policies. Family-friendly policies.
Hold it there, Usia. If you need to send your questions and comments to us on WhatsApp, 0501 579 996. Again, 0501 579 996. 0501 579 996 on WhatsApp. Send us your comments or questions. We are here for you, just for you. Yes, Lucia, you can continue from that point.
Okay, so just as I was saying, in most of the organizations, the employer is looking at results. But one key thing that the employer must take note of are the employees. They can make or make the organization. And once you have family-friendly policies, for example, it helps the individual to feel comfortable in the organization even as they work. So they don't spill over any issues to the family. There needs to be some sort of policy, for example, for, let's say, somebody who has given birth, a woman who has just given birth at work. What are some of the policies that are put in place to make it comfortable for the woman to come to work, for example, and not be thinking of the baby she left at home? There are some people who now have caregiving, policies at their workplace. So they have places where they have caregivers. They come, and then when you bring your child to work, you can keep the child there. The child will be taken care of till you close. And then once you're on break, you can go look at the child or feed the child and all that. So these are family-friendly policies that are put in place by organizations. But one thing is that you realize that some organizations find it difficult to implement these policies because individuals may abuse it.
How would they abuse?
So it comes to work, the child, there are some people, they're so attached to the children that they can't even leave them for some few minutes. So once they bring the child to work, for example, every minute they want to go there, to go and check on the child.
And it's a disadvantage to the
It's
work.
a disadvantage as well. So you realize that at every point in time, although the child is close, their minds are there. They are so much in a hurry to go. But it's something that you need to make a cautious effort that caregiver that is there for a period of time, and you can probably leave the child with the person. So it takes a two-way thing. If the workplace has these family-friendly policies, the individual must also take advantage of it and not abuse it. And then you realize that it makes it easier for everybody in the organization. But it also takes external help. You need external help. I always say that you cannot do it alone. You cannot balance the thing alone. You need that external help. Sometimes you may have your parents living with you. You may have a cousin with you. You may have your siblings with you. You can communicate. You can ask for that help for you to be able to balance. Oh, probably I will not be able to close at 5. Can you just help me with A, B, or C? It doesn't mean you're a failure. It means that you have thought about it, you have reflected, you've seen that, no, I can't go through the traffic from 5 to get to wherever I am to pick the kids. So please help me with it. You haven't failed. The child is even excited because you came to pick them on time. You didn't come, you asked somebody to come. So it's some sort of communication that is very important. So the family-friendly policies, the external help is also good. And even within the organizations. Within the organizations, you need to be free with your superiors. You need to be free with your subordinates. You need to be able to relate to all these people because they are going to help you one way or the other feel relaxed when you come to work. And it makes it easier for people to talk about the issues that they have. So once you are not able to relate to all these people at work, you realize that you're always tensed. You're always on the move. You are always running. You're always in a hurry. And the question is, why is this person always in a hurry? It's as if you are the only one who has, family, or you are the only one doing multiple works and all that. But that is not the issue. You need to be able to talk about the issues. And all these will come in when there's that friendly environment, even on the organization, for people to talk about their issues.
And the issues are coming up here. So we need to look at them. And now there's a comment. First, we'll start with a comment. And this is Ruth. Ruth says, me, I don't take leftover work to the house. You have to discipline yourself. Well, that's commendable, isn't it? Okay. Now, this is a question by Alexander Atubra. Is it possible to hold back some important family needs or even personal needs for some time while you attempt to achieve work targets, goals, and objectives? Should I go over the question again?
Yes,
okay.
I think I understand.
Right.
Okay, the question.
Is it possible to hold back some important family needs or even personal needs for some time while you attempt to achieve work targets, goals, and objectives?
I think yes. Yes, in the sense that once you've analyzed it and you realize that some of these things are not going to help you achieve these targets, you can put them on hold. But the but here is that you need to communicate. You cannot tell your child that you promised to take to the football field at 5 o'clock that you need to do this work, so forget about it. You need to communicate, and you need to let the child understand the reason why. You can reschedule, for example. So in all the things that you're putting on hold to achieve these goals, you need to communicate one way or the other. And it makes it easy and flexible for everyone to just relax and balance. So it makes it easier for you to even achieve those goals faster, because those that you left behind, those that you put on hold, do understand what exactly you're going through.
And I believe by communication, you sound to the people who you are with that you are not taking them for granted.
You are not?
Taking them for granted.
No, you're not. You're not at all taking them for granted. And I mean, questions will come up because we are human and people have their own reactions to things. They may not really understand you, but it takes that effort for you to let them understand what exactly it is that you are trying to achieve. Probably you can let them understand how it will even benefit the family at the end of the day. That is why you want to put this one on hold. But it's not that I'm forgetting you. I'll come back to it and then we'll do it another time. Yeah.
Michwi, I hope I've mentioned the name correctly, Pobi. Great discussion. These are all things that we tend to take for granted. I like the point she made. A conscious effort is needed. And that's from Michwi Pobi.
Yes.
Yes, it's a comment.
Thank you.
And another one from Daniel says, great discussion. These are all things, it's the same thing. Okay. Well, it's the same thing. But let's go to another comment from Vida. She says, sometimes either the father or the mother doesn't work or doesn't earn enough, which can push the other parent to work much more to earn enough to pay the family bills. This can really impact the balance.
Yes, this can really impact the balance, but it still takes that communication that I've been talking about, because once you know that the other partner is working so hard to make things work within the family, what is your part to play? Your part is to make sure that everyone else understands what's going on. Everyone else feels comfortable. You don't still put a lot of pressure on the one who is working so hard to make it work. The little that you can do to make everybody comfortable, you do it. So let's take, for example, the woman is working. The man is not at that moment. What is it that the man can do to help in the house? Sometimes the man, for example, can make the children so comfortable. He helps the children with the school work. And he does it in such a way that it's like a discussion they've had. So the parents have had this discussion, and the kids understand that, oh, this is what we have to do for now. You understand? Sometimes we tend to push a lot of pressure on the one who's working so hard. And the person comes back from work and is so angry. Some of them, they don't even want to come back early from work. And then they come back and they're so angry because when they come back, they still have a lot of things to do at home. So what is it that the partner can also do to also help the other to also balance, and also the whole family as well? Once you are able to make that conscious effort, communicate with the kids, I'm sure that you have that very good balance that you're looking for.
Now, this is a very long comment. So, Usi, I hope you are listening. It says some workers work purposely to impress their bosses. That is, get recognition, promotion, and what have you. At the same time, such workers delineate their responsibilities in their home as corporate staff working in such organization which recognize promotion as status. And you are yearning to get such a promotion. How would you marry the two without compromising your responsibility in the home? And this is from Daniel, East Legon.
Okay, so I think these things are found in a lot of organizations, especially in organizations where the salary is so good and everybody wants to be there in that position. So you don't want to just take things for granted. But whilst you're doing that, you should understand that you always go back home. You always go back to the family. And if the family is not happy with you, you realize that you get to the house and all your efforts at the workplace will be unnecessary. So when you get to the house, you ask yourself, how comfortable is it in the house? Is it as comfortable as you were in the workplace? All the things that you were doing to impress, your superiors and all that, they will be thinking that, oh, this is a hard-working person and all that. But you realize that when you get back home, you're not happy. Have you thought about it? You need to sit down and analyze all these things about your life. Because no matter what you do...
And that's what you were talking about, communicating with yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
That is the part where you need to sit and communicate. Because it takes a lot of effort for people to even recognize the fact that there's something wrong. Because they are getting the checks. But they've forgotten that the family that you go back to, the children that you go back to, are they happy with you? Sometimes we need to talk to our kids and listen to the kind of things that they have to say about you. Probably let them write a letter to you and tell you what they think about you. And then you realize that there's so many things that are lacking. And then you sit and reflect about it. You don't need to take it on them. They are kids. They are telling you exactly how they feel, what they see. And if probably you asked your wife to do it, you may have another fight or two because she may tell you things that you would say, oh, you're exaggerating. Let the kids do it. If you don't have kids, let your neighbor that you haven't seen in like how many weeks, but you're just a wall apart. Let them tell you what they think about you. And don't take it as if they are speaking against you. Take it as if you've had a reflection and you really want to understand what is going on around you. Sit down and reflect on it, and then I'm sure that you can make a very good decision. You can still work hard, but you still need to communicate and remember where you go back to, your family.
Now, when you talk about the neighbor assessing you,
Yeah.
I was thinking about the football field, where the fans are watching the football. Some of them could be even thinking that they are better coaches, because they see from far what is on the field of play. And sometimes they are even telling the players, knowingly and unconsciously, where to play the ball to and pass to who and all that. So I think that is very important, that for people that you trust, you could bring them in as neighbors to give a kind of an assessment, so you can know exactly how you are moving on.
I'm sure you wouldn't want to be that neighbor, for example, that is never seen and then is never heard of, sneaks into their room at midnight and sneaks out very early at dawn. Even just a WhatsApp message, just a call once in a while, should tell the neighbor that you are still alive and kicking. And your kids, for example, would also learn from the fact that you need to relate to people. It also builds the kind of relationships we have with our neighbors and then within the family. So whatever you teach these children, how you relate as a family, for example, will reflect in the kind of things that they do out there when they step out.
Now, this is a personal question to you. Now, you are an industrial and organizational psychologist.
Yes.
Now, when you talk about industrial psychologists, what's the area that you are looking at? Because I want to ask you a question.
Yes, so...
Industrial.
Yes, so it's just the same as working in various industries and all that, the workplaces where the machines and all that are used. You tend to look at the environment and the machine fit. That's also an aspect of industrial and organizational psychology, where we look at the kind of personality that is even working in that organization as well. So these are all little bits, parts of the industrial and organizational psychology.
Okay, so it presents a different kind of scenario.
Yes.
If you have to work in an industry.
Yes.
Because you are relating with machines and a whole lot of things.
Yes.
It's not just people to people.
Yes, it's not just people to people.
And that could present different sets of challenges.
Yes, so we also look at the various personalities, the kind of person that is coming to the organization. So you also do all the the selection, the recruitment and all that. You tend to analyze the kind of work that the person is coming to do, and then you try to select somebody who is psychologically fit for that particular job. So those are some of the key things that you look at for when you want to go into the machine bits. And because there are some people who have certain temperaments that they can't work with machines. They can't just work with machines. But all these things take a series of analysis for you to be able to get these people to fit the kind of job that you want them to do.
Now, do you have, I don't know whether I'm using the right word, but do you have a kind of a facility where people can approach, not just you, but the industrial organizational psychologist can just come to you, present themselves for assessment, so that I can know, I mean, am I moving in the right direction? Am I doing the appropriate things?
Yes.
Is there something like that?
Yes, so we have the Ghana Psychological Council. And the Ghana Psychological Council, there are various fields in psychology, actually. So the clinicals, the industrials, the social, the cultural.
Oh, the clinicals is the Lily Poby's area?
Yes. Okay. So we have the industrials, we have the social psychologists, we have a cultural psychologist, we have all sorts of areas that come together to work. So everybody has some sort of specializations that they look out for. So once you approach the Ghana Psychological Council, for example, or any individuals like us, we could take you through some of these things that we talk to you. We assess, we do what we call the assessment. So we talk to you, we assess, and then we give you a feedback on things that probably you also need to do some sort of reflection. You also need to do some sort of, you need to look at yourself, okay? We are not like, let's say, people who would automatically just diagnose you and all that. You need to have, we need to get all these reflections done, talk to you, and then we do all the depression assessments, the anxiety assessments. Even the clinicals see to kids, for example, who have issues with writing, and then probably that's even a stress on the whole family. They think that the child is not really doing well at school, the child is not writing well. There may be some psychological problem, there may be some neuro problems that are going on that needs to be understood. And once you do these assessments and you understand this thing, it makes it very easy for the family to just cope with
so
all
where
these
are
things.
these areas? Apart from you and Lily, I don't know any psychologists anywhere. Most of the time we tend to go to people who we are very familiar with.
Okay.
We go to pastors
Yes.
to tell them some of these issues.
Yes.
But these are the professionals, and you are the professionals.
Yes.
How can we locate you? I mean, we often do not know who to go to and where to go to such a person.
Okay. So basically, some of us, you can contact us personally. You can also go to the Ghana Psychological Council, as I said. You can also go to the Department of Psychology of
Where?
University of Ghana.
Okay.
You can also go to the Department of Psychiatry at Kolebu, for example, and you will be seen to perfectly. It is, you see, when we, especially psychiatry, for example, mental health is a big deal. When we see people going to the psychiatrist and all that, we think the people are going nuts. But that is not the issue. There are so many diverse things that we could look at. It could be the person, a woman who is pregnant and is even going through depression, for example. It can be looked at, and the woman would just be very, very fine, as if there was nothing that went wrong. So all these things are things that we are trying to make people understand, that it is not all about work, work, work. It is not all about just the family. You need to be able to blend the two. You need to be able to understand the whole field in one, so that you'll be able to balance. Physical, spiritual, it's very, very important, because the spiritual aspect of your life also helps you to reflect a lot. So it's one of the things that are very, very key in the kind of things that we do.
Annie Usu-Ankuleni, Mrs. Annie Usu-Ankuleni,
Yes.
Thank you very much today. She is an industrial organizational psychologist, and she's been speaking with us on work-family balance. And we've talked about so many things with the comments and the questions coming in. And particularly, I like the way you directed us to where we can meet with psychologists, tell them the challenges that we are going through. They can assess it. So oftentimes, we go to a medical officer when we are, physically unwell.
Yes.
But when we have to deal with our emotional issues, we do not know who to go to. There are a few places that we think that we should go. And those are the only places.
Yes.
But with the kind of education that you're giving us, you say we should be able to contact the psychology department?
Yes, the psychology department, University of Ghana,
And then
the Department of Psychiatry at Kolebu, for example, can really help. And then the Ghana Psychological Council. Once you go there, you have a lot of psychologists who are ready, very ready to help you. We help organizations, we have individuals, we help families to really understand what their issues are and then how best to deal with it. Sometimes you go to the medical doctor and you're not able to really understand what is going on. You've taken all the tabs. It may be a psychological issue. You need to deal with it.
We are very fortunate to have you and Lily in the Trinity United Church as psychologists that we can come to and then tell you the challenges that we are going through. And then I believe that the two of you will be able to help us. Yes. And all who are watching on the Trinity United Church platform for discussion of issues that bother all of us, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. For those on Sunny 88.7 FM, we thank you so much for giving us a listening ear. And for all those who put up this show, we are also very much grateful. Another Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., we'll be here again to talk about another issue. Theodore is ready to sort of close us off from his saxophone, a piece of beautiful music. Theodore?